And in other news, Martian Ambassador Mook Thrungpeace made a statement today at the intergalactic meeting of Planets Picnic, Bring a Bottle and an Illusion Crofting Trough party. Apparently, his 66-tongued wife Badger Frunkbeast hybrid kept him up all night, explaining the plot to Little Johnny and the kleptomaniac knee creature of Omicrotty 8, a popular soap opera on their dusty moon, and so he stated he was feeling a little worse for wear. Then he bit the head off one of the floss people of Nabuggan Pring. However, he eventually arrived at his point and delivered a crushing critique of Earth, the human race, and in particular the proposed rebooting of the Indiana Jones franchise with Chris Pratt, which caused him so much anguish he sat on all of the young of the Minister for Tentacles, Rumen Hooman Twain, who promptly cried so much out of his anus that part of his face caved in. Extrapolating on the point, Thrungpeace went on to scream, "I mean, you wouldn't remake Bergerac with Jeremy Irons, now would you?" Then he exclaimed in his best singing voice, "Oh, to hell with you people, the Guinness tastes better on my planet anyway." And he left the event on his tiny, tiny space scooter, Graham. Other incidents at the weekend-long event held just next to the third ring of the twin planets of Joth and Pleh included a Benevian tree wedding, a lively game of What's Up My Jumper Then, hosted by the multi-titted nymphoids of Clark 2, and a look at how they all might use the Earth's supply of tween pop idols to plug up black holes that have been giving them a spot of bother recently. Jeffrey Yarl, representative of the Earth, her moon, and the hair gel deposits of game show host, said, "Be our guest. We can have them all rounded up, shaved, deloused and neutered in about 48 hours. And now on Radio Flange Goblet, it's the After Movie Diner, a show which the Basildon Report said reminded them of spending a damp afternoon with Herbert Lom in a thicket near the Watford bypass, spooning for elk. Oh, that's got it. And welcome to the After Movie Diner. And first up, a little bit of a departure from the usual wacky, zany antics, and a recording that I made about a week and a bit ago, because this episode has taken me an age to edit and finally get up. I'm sorry, I've been so busy, but you'll understand why when you hear this next message. But anyway, I recorded a couple of weeks ago. It sounds a bit somber because it was recorded sort of late at night and I was in a sort of thoughtful, emotional mood. And normally I wouldn't necessarily slow down the show to do this, but it is really, really important to me that I play this next message. So I am sorry, you're going to have to kind of sit around for about the next 8 or 9 minutes, which if you're one of those people that has to kind of get to the meat of it, I'm really sorry. But it is really important to me, and I know some of the few listeners out there that I play this next message. So anyway, here's me about a week and a half ago, in the middle of the night. I just had some thoughts, put them down on wax, as they say. Here they are. And then I promise we'll get to the meat and potatoes, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if you like, of the show. I just wanted to say a few words because, well, I've got some news. I've got some good news. The good news is I got a job. Regular listeners of the show, I don't know if you've picked up on it or not. I know, obviously, all our Facebook friends have done, but I've been out of a job. And round about this time last year, the separation started with me and my ex-wife. And so it's been a year. And it's been about 15, 16 months since I was full-time employed. And it's been a year since my life was turned upside down. And the job that I have, and the reason why I'm putting this on the After Movie Diner podcast, even though it has nothing to do with movies, diners, and the usual silliness that we talk about here, is that without this show and without the people that I have met and the friends that I've made through doing this show, I wouldn't have this job. This job is directly tied to the diner. If it hadn't been for the podcast I'd created, the website I'd created, the blogs, I wouldn't be going to work tomorrow in a job that will utilize my web management skills and things that I've learned being online and having a website and all that sort of stuff. the after movie diner, believe it or not, was a big part of the discussion that we had in the interview and who I am because of that show. And the last year has been very, very difficult. Being out of a job, being separated and then single, recently having my wallet stolen, and a lot of the time not knowing what I should do, but just knowing that I had to get up every day and push forward. And that's been really difficult too. But I wanted to basically say a huge thank you. A huge, huge thank you. If you've listened to one episode or if you've listened to all 150, if you support us on Patreon, if you've donated to the show, if you've bought an album, thank you to everybody who's even remotely tangentially linked to the After Movie Diner, because you are fantastic, incredible, awesome human beings, and you have stepped up throughout this last year in a way that I couldn't have ever reasonably expected, that I could never have imagined in my deepest hopes. Your friendship, your love, your support, both of the show and of me personally, has been unparalleled and unprecedented. And I can't thank you enough. I really, really can't thank you enough. It's because of you that I go back to work tomorrow. Something which I have just longed for. I can't even explain. I've just wanted to go back to work. And it's because of you. And whether you've messaged me personally on Facebook, or whether we've just had a chat about a movie one afternoon, or whether we've drifted in and out of each other's lives online, or whether you've written to the show, or whatever, just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to every single person who came together to help me out when my wallet was stolen and I needed to replace my permanent resident card. I didn't ask for help and I didn't ask for money. I simply wrote a status update that they didn't get any money from me and they couldn't use my credit cards, and everything in my wallet was useless except my permanent resident card, which is going to be expensive to replace. That's all I said. And by the end of the day, it's like 24 hours, I had the money I needed to replace the card. I didn't ask for a dime. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I didn't ask for it. And you all just got together in the comments on that post and you made it happen. You just all got together and you did it. Unbelievable. It doesn't happen, you know? I am absolutely and forever grateful. And I'm going to try as hard as I can. And I'm going to make a promise to you that because you've supported me this last year, I'm going to do my damned hardest to work as hard as I can, be as good as I can, and try as hard as I can, just to make it all work. And if any of you ever have an album you want to do, a book you want to write, a podcast you want to start, anything, if you ever need any help or support or anything like that, once I'm settled and once I'm set up, then just let me know on Facebook. Just message me and let me know what I can do. I'm not a taker. I've had to be and I haven't enjoyed it. So please let me know what I can do once I'm all set up down the road, okay? But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And also on this note, recently someone published an article that was put up on a Facebook podcast community site. And I shouldn't have taken the bait, it was pointless, it didn't really matter. But it was an article by this guy basically saying what a podcast should and shouldn't be. Like, shouldn't have too long a theme music. In fact, he'd probably prefer you didn't have theme music at all. And you shouldn't make the podcast about you, but you should be you on the podcast. And You can't have the intro too long. He's too busy and he doesn't have time, and the show can't be too long, and people don't want this and people don't want that, and make it shorter and make it snappier and make it less personal and make it more polished and make it more professional and do this and do that. This whole article about it, right? Well, fuck him. Because you know what? I started this podcast and continue doing this podcast exactly how I want. And every week, hundreds of people download this show. I don't know whether they listen or not, but hundreds of people every week download this show. And the vast majority of those hundreds, they message me on Facebook. They join in conversations in the Facebook group. They tweet, retweet. So fuck him, because he didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He kept going on about, well, I have 30,000 subscribers, and I'm a professional this, and I'm a professional that, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, big deal. Fuck you, hotshot. Have your subscribers ever come together the way that my listeners have done, or my friends have done, through this show? No. Guarantee it hasn't. Guarantee we're all better people. And I'm guaranteed that my hundreds of listeners are better than his thousands of subscribers who listen to his horse shit about what podcasts should be. By the way, he doesn't even like podcasts. Doesn't even really listen to them. The few he's listened to, he doesn't even like. And here he is telling us all how to podcast. Well, I podcast the way I want to fucking podcast. People tune in or they don't. But I tell you what, when people tune in, they really tune in and they support and they help. And they've got me through one of the what could have been and what was one of the worst years in my life, and they've got me through it. And tomorrow I start a job because of those people, and I'm getting my permanent resident card back because of those people. And I'm gonna have a life again because of those people. I'm gonna have a life with those people. So fuck you, whatever your name was. I didn't even bother remembering your name, but fuck you, because this is what a podcast is. This is what a podcast should be. So anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. Inspiring stuff, I'm sure you'll all agree. So, yes, that's my news. I have a job. Hooray! Excitement and happiness abounds all over the place like a vast, vast blancmange. And don't forget, you can contact, and we would love you to contact, the Aftermovie Diner at aftermoviediner@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 347-669-0053. That's 347-669-0053, or over at www.speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner, just like Matt Beckett did.
Hello, John. Matt Beckett here. Just calling in to say thanks for your recent episode on Inseminoid. Now, I haven't seen the film myself, so I can't offer any slings, arrows, or bouquets in its direction, but I would like to say that I'm grateful for the films of its kind. Firstly, because of the bounty of taglines that films like Inseminoid gave us. I counted at least 10 remarkable contenders in the trailer alone. Secondly, because getting this kind of genre movie made in any year, and hoping to find an audience, is a wonderfully optimistic thing. And filmmakers in the UK in the early 80s may well have thought that they could at least give it a shot, because they had seen large chunks of blockbusters like Alien and Star Wars being filmed here. And, perhaps most of all, I'm grateful because the video box art for Inseminoid and its many thousands of peers adorned the walls of rental stores up and down the land during the 80s and the 90s. They offered the opportunity to imagine and speculate at length as to what might be in store for an audience that, as the chances stood, might never get to rent them. This anticipation may often have proved to be more fun than some of the films themselves, but we always returned because of the possibility that we might find a gem. Sadly, I'm not sure that the current generation get the chance to experience this. So many thanks again for your journey into space, John. It was great to hear the after-movie diner back in the environs of a New York restaurant, giving your audience the chance to imagine and anticipate to fill in the whole picture. And please pass on my condolences to Denny Trink, the Roadworks Goblin. He certainly had my vote.
Well, if you need further proof that we have the greatest listeners on Earth, then you're crazy, because that is surely all the proof that we need. What a fantastic voicemail. And if you want to send your own in, don't forget, 347-669-0053 or www.speakpipe.com/aftermoviediner.
Choose to use your heart, if even towards the harshest fate, but it may be swallowed, a masticated, mistaken thing, that you may rightly pine in the mammoth nothing of the night, left to your own devices and too exhausted to know what you want.
And joining me for a bit of the old knees up Mother Brown in a Cockney Corner pub somewhere in the villainous part of East End London is the wonderful boys from Profondo Cinema, the guys who inspired me to start the show low there many moons ago, and who themselves have just celebrated a 5th anniversary. It is none other than the wonderful Axl and the almighty J Scott. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
Good evening, John. Thank you for having us on the show again, as usual.
It's always a pleasure when I get to talk to you lads, either on here or on your show. It's always a good time. So, Axl, first, what have you been up to, sir? What can you tell us? What's been going on in your household?
Well, first, I just want to say it's nice to be back on the show, and it's also nice for me and Jay Scott to be here, and also to not be talking about Friday the 13th.
Right.
It's been a long time that, one of those three things wasn't happening when we were talking, and for all the stars to align, it's a special evening, and I'm happy to be here.
It is, and we're all warm, beautiful, sincere individuals. No, I agree. No, I do agree, Axl. I do. I'm mocking aside. I do agree. Lovely to have you both here rather than just one of you guys, and also great to be discussing something other than horror movies, because we had, apart from the episodes that Jay Scott and I have done solo, all the things with you, I think, Axl, have always been horror-related, I think.
Oh, I'm certain of that. Yeah, I don't know why it's worked out that way, but
because I was listening back to our Slumber Party Massacre and then the Chopping Mall episodes that we did with the Wynorski joint. So I was listening back to them earlier in the week, and I also listened to Jay Scott and my Wes Anderson episode, which was good fun as well. So Jay Scott, do you have anything to add to the wonderful words of Axl there?
Well, personally, I'm slightly shedding a tear over the fact that we're not going to be discussing Tom Fridley or Juan Carpenter.
Yes, Juan Carpenter for president.
Those are some near and dear characters to my heart.
Sure.
It's like Axl doing a Profondo Cinema without bringing up a Roadhouse reference. It's heartbreaking, but other than that, it's good to be on the show, and a non-Friday the 13th episode, and a
couple of British joints, no less. We're going to be talking.
Yeah,
about
exactly. And we had been suggested not only by yourself, but by other Profondo listeners to discuss some British cinema. So. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. And we'd mooted also a sort of British TV comedy episode somewhere along the line either, because you've had on your website since day one, you've had pictures of like Spaced and stuff as part of your graphic, and yet you've never discussed the show in an episode. I mean, you've discussed it in terms of it's been brought up, but you've never talked Peg and Frost's finest hour.
We're saving it. We're saving some ammo.
True.
But we're. I was thinking of. It's completely up to you, but subtitling this episode "British as fuck."
right. Something like that. Yeah. You're all a bunch of cunts. Or something like that. That would be fun. Anything where you have to understand people before you listen to this episode, or as you're listening to this episode. Anyone with a sensitive ear, understand that when British people swear, it's glorious. It is not offensive. You have to understand this. It is not meant maliciously. It is meant as a wonderful Anglo-Saxon kind of dominant kind of way, and as well as endearing as well, because I used to have friends who I used to call cunt at work all the time. And we used to go, fuck off, you can. You say it all the time. It's just fun. It's
a term of endearment.
It is. Purge yourselves of the offensive nature of those words and let us revel in them tonight. For I believe in the second film we're covering, they may come up quite a lot.
Well, now's as good a time as any. I guess I know what I know about British subculture from Johnny Lydon.
Yeah.
And I don't know shit else. So
okay.
When it comes to certain words, forgive me if I ask for a clarification.
Oh no, I'm happy to give it.
There's plenty of things I'm probably about 70-80% right on these, but you never know. Some of this stuff could actually mean something.
Probably not. But
no, he's got a great point. He really does, because there's a line in Shaun of the Dead where Ed tells, no, we can go to the Winchester. There's a Breville out back. Johnny will do your toasting for you.
Right.
And for years, my friend and I tried to figure out what a Breville was.
Right.
And for those not in the know, a Breville is a name brand for a toaster oven.
Well, like a sandwich
England.
Toaster. Like
yes.
Like one of those that you push the sandwich in the middle of, bring it down.
Like a George Foreman grill.
Right, that kind of thing. Yeah, only it gives you the lines across the top of the sandwich and then seals the outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're amazing. They're incredible.
It's a very legitimate point that Axl brings up.
Well, the word that we use the most, or words that we use the most that don't really get translated, is stuff like sarnie and butty, which are both words for sandwiches. But you can have a chip butty, or you could have like a ham sarnie, and that's they're words for sandwiches. But that's a thing. So there's words like that if he says like, John will do you a toasty or whatever, or John will do you a sarnie or do you a butty. That's, they're all words for sandwich,
I'm taking notes right now. I'm going to go ask my wife for a butty.
Yeah, you should. And you have a chip butty, which is where you get the what you call steak fries, like those big flat.
Potato wedges.
Well, they're not so much wedges, but they're like the steak fries like you would get in like a British pub, and you would have those in between two slices of very white cheap bread with lots of butter. You have to have lots of natural butter on it, and then you put the fries into the butter, put the sandwich bread either side, and then the butter melts all over the fries, and it is delicious. You get this buttery, potatoey sandwich, and it's amazing.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Now, Axl, if I was to tell you I was about to go outside and puff a fag,
I'd believe
would
you.
Would that throw you off, or do you know exactly?
We'd all say, J. Scott, do you want to tell us what's going on in your household? No.
Probably not.
No, but I mean in relation to fag. Anyway.
A fag is a stick with a burning tip on it. Therefore, puffing a fag is smoking a cigarette.
Yes, it is. And if you smoke a fag, that's not killing a gay person in the ghetto.
Or blowing a fag.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't ever say that. They just go, I'm going to pop outside for a fag.
John, I want to go ahead and officially invite you into the fold of a project that we're working on.
Okay, I'd like that. That'd be great.
It's
and this is the first public announcement of this project.
Cool.
Upper 11th Dinner Theater presents Night 90, an audio play.
Right.
I need you as the narrator, maybe about 12 to 18 lines.
Sure.
Recorded in the privacy of your own home and delivered at your whimsy.
And it should take you a whole 20 to 25 minutes.
Right. What are the 18 lines? Are you going to mail them to me or send them to me or email them to me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's essentially to cover up the 45 minutes of nailing boards to the windows.
Right.
And Judy Rose screaming like a ninny.
Right. Like a sissy ninny.
Basically a passage of time, but done hopefully in a comedic way.
Okay, so sort of like the Charles Gray character in Rocky Horror kind of voice.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
I'd say more like Waylon Jennings on the Dukes of Hazzard.
That's an apt comparison.
Except that
Like, them Duke boys, they...
Except that I'm English.
Exactly.
But I could do a southern
It's going to lend it even more authenticity to it.
More
project,
gravitas.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
More gravitas.
Yes.
Oh, I can definitely do that, gentlemen. I will look forward to that. And is that going to be an episode of Profondo, or is that going to be a whole new thing that you're going to be doing?
I think it'll be an episode of Profondo.
Nice.
Or at least a nice long featurette on an episode of Profondo.
Sure. Okay. It would be a very long because it'd be the whole length of a movie. So.
Oh no! That's why we're having you. Is that way we can eliminate the 57.5 minutes of just nothing but nailing doors to windows.
Okay.
So.
So yeah, it'd be more like half an hour then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good.
Maybe 40 minutes.
I'm looking forward to that.
We are too, actually, because I don't know if this is public knowledge or not, but Axl and I are not exactly the biggest fans of the remake of Night of the Living Dead by Tom Savini.
Right.
So
you're not big fans of any movie past Dawn of the Dead, despite talking about Romero endlessly. It's really just any movie after Dawn of the Dead you have an issue with. That features zombies. I know you like Martin and the Crazies and stuff, but any movie that features zombies past Dawn of the Dead.
Romero-wise?
Yeah, because you don't like Day, you don't like Land, you don't like... I presume you don't like Diary or Survival.
Yeah, you'd presume correct.
Right.
Or Night 90.
Or Night 90, which he produced and co-wrote, right?
It was actually, I guess, Schlags was the genesis of this idea because he wants to play Harry Cooper.
Fair enough. I tell you what, so many people have remade Night of the Living Dead now because there's like an animated version, a 3D version. There's the horrible one where they inserted new footage into the old movie. I mean, there's so many different versions now that why not a Profondo Cinema version? And I would be honored, nay thrilled, to be a part of it. How wonderful.
But it's specifically a radio play of the remake.
Of course. No, I understand. I understand the way it works. It's good. And you are forever the innovators, because I'm sure you're the first people I knew who did commentaries for films as a podcast, which I just thought was revolutionary. And now you're up in the ante again and doing a radio play. My goodness, gentlemen, slow down. The rest of us cannot keep up.
Well, just very briefly, there's a very strong online contingent of people who absolutely adore the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
So we're really hoping that not only can we poke fun at it, but we can also get those people who get off on the film
right.
To also have a little fun with it as well.
You're hoping to tap some of that sweet 90 demographic that's skulking about online, and you're hoping to boost the numbers that way. I like your thinking, gentlemen. I like your thinking.
Yeah, and we've already gotten some volunteers for voices.
Nice.
Honestly, I would love for Axl to play Ben. In my personal opinion, I think he is Ben.
We're still casting. So.
Yeah. We'll get there, but I'm thinking the Axeman can handle some Ben going toe to toe with Cooper here. I think it would be good.
Well, I think and J Scott, you're going to be Johnny and Tom.
You're going to do double duty there, J Scott.
I'm going to do Johnny
and Tom.
And Tom.
All you got to do is add a redneck accent to Johnny, and there you are.
You mean Tom?
No, you add a redneck accent to whatever you were doing as Johnny, and then you have Tom.
Oh, I see.
That's what you were saying, right, Axl?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I follow.
Yeah, no, it's odd because when I was down in Baltimore with my Baltimore peeps, when I went down to visit them, the guys who know and worked with Don Dola and all those cool groovy cats down there, I was talking with my friend Robert Long because I had said that the Doc and I, who do Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid, had like mulled around the idea of, writing a movie or doing a movie or doing some sort of fun, low-budget action film or something like that if we ever scraped the coin together. And it was him who said, Robert said, why don't you just do it as a radio play? All these podcasters and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, it was one of those things we were driving along and I went, yeah. And then I could do sound effects and music and I could write songs. We could do this, we could do that. Cut to like a few months later, I've done no work on putting that together at all. So that is the project that I leave glimmering in the distance for future generations.
Well, so, doing all those items all by yourself and having to put everything together, that's an extremely difficult proposition. And I think one of the three members here on the show tonight has actually pulled that off more than once.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it all myself. I would have other podcasters come on and do voices and actors and stuff like that, but it would still be a huge undertaking because I'd have to write the damn thing to begin with, But yes, we'll figure it out. One day it'll happen. But then again, I will be far behind Profondo, who are always out in front in terms of podcasting excellence. Which is why everyone listening right now needs to listen to Profondo Cinema. So, gentlemen, just let's start with J. Scott this time. Give us a little bit, as you posted on the Profondo group, give us a little bit of your feelings around being 5 years old, and what does that mean in terms of podcasting heritage? And are you the old man of podcasts now? Is that what it is? Or?
I would not say that necessarily. As I alluded to in my diatribe on Facebook, my partner Axl here, I've known him since 2001, and I think he had always wanted to do the podcast and was trying to figure out who would be the best partner to do it with. And I think I just kind of, he tried to get Stern. He tried to get Imus. They turned him down. So he settled for me. And, the main focus at first, of course, was the films of George Romero, just because that's the main subject that me and him know more about than any other film maker.
Right.
And then after that, it was just kind of a free-for-all, anything goes, from Val Kilmer to the Godfather series to Brian Bosworth's film catalog to, Burt Reynolds to anything you could. We've done episodes dedicated to Ari Gross.
Yeah, right.
So, honestly, really what it is, other than the fact that we wanted to get a lot of Romero information out there to the Romero heads that dig the films and want to know more, just like we do. Other than that, it's pretty much just us talking film, talking about what we like, what we don't like, and having a very nice, civil, friendly chat as often as we can. And we've been doing it now for 5 years, granted,
and
which is kind of crazy because at first we started off weekly. We actually started off in February of 2010, and we had 3 or 4 episodes built up at least as a backlog before we debuted our first episode, which focused strictly on Night of the Living Dead. And week after week, we'd release a podcast. We'd get a couple short. We'd record a couple more. Slowly but surely, emails started trickling in, and we were amazed because people were actually listening to us talk. And, it's not only a labor of love of cinema, but it's also just a great excuse for us to get together and talk cinema, or as we've been known to do, music, sports, pop culture, minutia, news, interviews, guest stars. Too many to name. I mean, including yourself, John, and all the other podcasters that have came on in the past, all the guest stars like Michael Gornick and Gary Striner and Burt Reynolds and Jim Van Beber. We've just had a lot of swell people on the show. Jan Michael Vincent. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. It's the little pebble that became an avalanche. So
you've never had Steven Seagal, have you? That's only Bloodbaths and Boomsticks that have had Steven Seagal.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Right.
But
you need to get him on the show one time.
We're still doing it, and we kind of do it on our own terms. And I know we're not out there every week like we used to be, but we're still out there, and we can be found. And not a whole lot has changed about the show. So if you liked it then, you should still like it now. And I'd just like to give a hearty thanks to all the listeners, all the supporters, all the guests. Anybody who downloaded the show and listened to it, we really appreciate it because, we're just a couple of dudes talking about movies.
Just a couple of dudes. Indeed. And I love the show. And we'll talk about that in a second. But Axl, your 5 minutes, sir.
Well, yeah, I guess, I'll echo J. Scott's sentiments, but I also wanted to mention that, the awesome byproduct of getting to know people like you, John Cross, and...
That's why you started the show, right? To get to know me? That was the whole purpose?
Well, people like Schlogs and, the guys at Bloodbaths and Boomsticks and guys at Exploited Cinema and numerous other podcasts.
Glenn McCard and Mark Burns from the UK.
Yeah, Glenn, who's a friend of mine. I know Glenn.
Yes.
And Mark Burns.
Small world.
And Mark Burns, who's subsequently become a friend and a follower of mine, a huge supporter of The Diner and Dr. Action. Good guys, Mark Burns.
It's all a big somewhat like-minded, chilled-out family of sorts, and that's been the coolest experience to me. Like, the dozens of people that I'm like, kind of gotten to know over the years. So, but yeah, we are kind of getting old. I mean, that's when you say 5 years, I think old. So, but at the same time, I'll listen to, Dean Cameron has a podcast. He's, got to be at least in his late 40s. So it's not necessarily a young man's game. I think we're probably on the, upper outskirts of the age range. But
well, Mark Maron didn't start his podcast till he was after 40.
Well, I
know it's not an independent podcast, but it's still. I mean, I don't think there's any age limit on podcasting as long as you can speak. That's the nice thing is you don't have to have a face for television. You don't have to be, I mean, you could be in a wheelchair. Like, it doesn't really matter as long as you can speak and operate a microphone. Then it's anybody's game as far as I'm concerned. It's the level playing field.
Especially when you're offering the product for absolutely free. I mean, there's
right.
You know, it's almost impossible to complain, but.
Although, if you do feel like donating, you can go to www.patreon.com/aftermoviediner. That's Patreon, Patreon, for all our dear, sweet listeners.
Excellent.
Also, Axl had mentioned, and I completely had spaced it myself, and I totally agree with him. The people that I've met through the show over the years online, I've really became very close, good friends with quite a few people online, which is so weird, just because of common interests such as the podcast or horror films or certain rock and roll bands. That's been a very, very cool, interesting part of the show as well. So I definitely got to say that as well. I apologize for neglecting to say that before.
Well, you will get reprimanded, and we will put you in podcast jail. Especially one.
Oh, I know 7 people that are going to message me by tomorrow morning and be like, "What the fuck?"
Even though they're not listening. I mean, if this was going out live, maybe. But I mean, when this goes up, they might email you and be like, J. Scott didn't thank us. We're the only reason you're doing the show, kind of thing.
Okay. How about this? Anybody out there who's ever been a part of Upper 11th Productions,
right,
can give themselves a good, healthy pat on the back and know that what they've done has helped not only our show but other people's else tremendously.
Other people's lives.
That's right.
Yeah. You just peshied us. Did you realize that, J. Scott? You just did a peshy.
How's that?
You just went, okay.
I did a Leo Getz.
Oh, yeah. You just did Leo Getz.
Okay.
J. Scott just gave us a peshy. Sorry, Axl, you were talking. I think J. Scott and I just talked all the way over you. But did you have any more to say, sir? About 5 years.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
5 years.
I was going to say, who's going to sing the Bowie song?
My eyes. Sorry.
5 years.
What a surprise. We've got 5 years.
Thank you very much, J. Scott. Beautiful.
John Cross is all we've got. We've got 5 years.
Okay, take the mic away from J. Scott.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I've been in a Bowie mood today.
No, listen, any day you're in a Bowie mood is a good day as far as I'm concerned. And I wanted to reiterate what I said online, where I got accused of sucking your guys' dick, which is not...
Now, someone did accuse you of this?
Yeah, someone did accuse me of that, and I was like, I've never in my days they would have to pay me. And
if you would have, I would have told everybody either how good, bad, or mediocre you would have.
Sure.
Been,
oh well, so. I would want a Yelp rating from you.
Yeah, it would be public knowledge. So.
On my dick sucking technique. But no, I was going to say that I vividly remember. And why wouldn't I? It was only a few years ago. But I vividly remember my ex-wife and I running into my old office where I used to have the computer to play her you on your podcast talking about the fact that I had taken the diner to the podcast thing. I'd gone from blog, which you would advertise my blog very kindly on the show and talked about that and had been very encouraging. And then a few months later when I started the podcast, you did the same thing for the podcast. And I remember I brought her into the room. We both ran to the room. I played her the thing. And she was like, that's incredible. That's 2 guys you don't know, like, talking about your podcast. That's amazing. And I remember, because I hadn't yet got into this whole thing of there being a community and, us talking about being on each other's shows or talking about each other's shows or anything like that. Like, to me back then, when you're firing off nonsense into the darkness to get a couple of, wily gentlemen such as yourself giving me props, as they say, it was a big time. I thought I'd gone big time, baby. I was all over that. I was very happy about that, and you had such kind words to say. So that to me was like, I'm like, okay, great, this is fantastic. You had inspired me, and then there you were saying such great things. So thank you for that. That was very kind of you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And to shed a little bit more light on that, there's quite a few podcasts out there that are extremely similar. A lot of the podcasts out there are very much just two dudes talking to each other. Dude, did you see this? Dude, did you play Halo 20? Dude. and then all of a sudden we get this podcast that starts out just like an episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus, where they're reading the faux news. And then the next thing you know, you never expect the Spanish Inquisition. And then the film talk starts, and there you got some ukulele going. And at first you used to have John Wallace on the show a lot.
Yeah.
And, it was just a very big breath of fresh air in the podcast community whenever you first hit the airwaves. And I think that's what really attracted Axl and I to it.
Well, and I really dug those 007 shows that you did.
With Mal, yeah, that was fun.
With Mal. Mal's got the best radio voice ever.
Right. He's got that deep baritone. Yeah,
yeah, that honey sweet voice. But that was very comprehensive. I think it was 2 episodes where you covered the whole damn series.
Yeah, Mal and I sat in a room for 4 hours with my 20th anniversary box set that has the first 20 movies in it. Not 20th anniversary, sorry, the first 20 movies, so whatever it was, the 35th or the 40th anniversary, whenever Die Another Day came out. And we sat there and he read the back of the DVD set, the DVD box, and then we had like 5 or 10 minutes to discuss the movie, and then we just went on to the next one, and we tried to rattle through them as quickly as possible. And we did continue. We covered Skyfall, but we covered it as a video. It was the only video episode of the After Movie Diner, which is still on YouTube for people who are interested to see it. Well, I think I also put it out as an audio podcast, but there is a video version of it with us putting on different hats and being silly and wearing funny clothing. So that's out there. But yeah, that's always fun to have Mal on. I mean, Mal's a regular, John's a regular, Jim's a regular, his brother, and then... yeah, we've had David on doing all the comic book episodes. It's been a fun ride, man. We just hit 150 episodes. That was my big milestone recently. It was 150 episodes.
Excellent.
The big 150.
You definitely slowed down, though. I assumed you would have surpassed us by far, because I think we're at 175 or 176. I figured you would have blown past us by now.
Yeah, no, what happened was, I mean, well, like the last year's been all up in the air, but it's really just been, and there was also a period at one point, let's not forget, that I took on like 2 or 3 other shows.
Yes.
But ultimately, I always come back to the diner, and I think I've been averaging 2 or 3 a month. So rather than doing one every week, it's sort of 2 or 3 a month. And I'm going to kind of get back to sort of doing 3 weeks, 1 week off, 3 weeks, 1 week off, that kind of thing. Because I need a week off. To do it all 4 weeks is just a bit with everything I do. And then I also do the Dr. Action shows, and I try and get interviews. And, I'm going to be working soon. With all that stuff, it's just too much sometimes.
Definitely.
Well, don't spread yourself too thin,
No, well, I stopped Crosstalk, which was the interview show that I was doing live every Wednesday night, because I did that 14 weeks live every Wednesday night for an hour or 2 hours. I would get someone on and interview them on the Mixler app, which is this live radio app online, which I did that. And then I was also part of Mo's show, Drunk on VHS, for a while. But now it's just Dr. Action and the Diner. We're back just down to the core two, and that's what I'm happy with. That's what I'm happy doing. So let's get on to the movie section of the show. Unless you gentlemen wanted to talk about anything else, did you?
Hey, what the fuck? We got you on the horn. I hope I'm not boxing you into a corner with this, but it's not a remake, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the upcoming Evil Dead television series.
No. Well, no.
I heard the side too. Let's hear it. Come on.
Okay. I can't comment on the new Evil Dead TV series until I see it. But judging on how Campbell has been the last few years, judging that Sam Raimi is only doing the first episode, judging the fact that it's only going to be half-an-hour episodes, there's only going to be 10 a series, and he's going to have wacky kid sidekicks, I don't hold out much hope. I remain negatively skeptical.
Well, the worst part of it was when I heard filming picks up in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's going to be Axe, Warrior, Princess Hercules of Sand and Sandals, or whatever that Spartacus one, Blood and Sand. Because that's what it's going to be. It's going to look like Spartacus, right? If it's on Stars or Showtime or whatever it's on, they're going to have to crowbar in like nudity or sex or something, because that's all those fucking channels do. It's like HBO couldn't just do True Blood. They had to have, oh, look, there's tits! Wait a minute, there's tits! Because that's just what fucking HBO does, and Showtime and all those channels. And that's going to be annoying. And the fact that they've obviously gone, well, we can't have Bruce Campbell, the guy who carried 3 fucking movies on his shoulders. We can't have him just be by himself or being the lead or, whatever. We have to have, like, a wacky Hispanic sidekick and a wacky female sidekick, and I'm just like, ugh.
Do we know they're wacky? Has that been confirmed? Or
I just don't know how you do I understand that they looked at The Walking Dead and went, okay, well, we can do that. And interestingly enough, considering that Nicotero works on The Walking Dead, and in fact show runs it now, more or less, I think, Kurtzman, who broke away and went off, which always makes me laugh that Kurtzman was the one who broke away, because obviously you've got Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now went up the stream and broke away and became his own thing. Well, Colonel Kurtzman working in Ohio, doing all the Don Coscarelli movies, and what's he done recently? He did the Kevin Smith Tusk and some other stuff. He's going to be working on the Evil Dead series, because obviously Nicotero is, who like K&B, who they would normally work with, is busy on doing that. So Kurtzman's doing that, which sort of, that gives me hope. That's fun, but I just don't know how you do it in half an hour. I just don't know how you tell a compelling weekly story in half an hour, because what is it? I mean, 45 minutes or an hour seems more like the standard, especially if you're only doing 10 episodes a series, unless you're a sitcom, unless you're Curb Your Enthusiasm or, one of those jokey shows. How do you just do a half hour? I don't know.
You do get the full 30, though.
You do, yeah. There's no commercials. Well, you get about 28 minutes or something.
Right. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, me too.
Until I see it. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see a continuation. I was curious if you were, somewhat hopeful at all.
Am I excited for it? No, not really. I mean, I would have preferred there no remake, and Raimi had taken all the money he'd made on all the big Hollywood movies he's done, and they had made a $1 million movie in Michigan in someone's back garden and had a ton of fun with it. That would have been so much more exciting.
I agree with that.
I was under the impression they were going to be an hour long.
No, they're half hour long. It's one of the things that gave me pause. Also, the fact that they're going to try and have Ash have PTSD, which I just don't really fucking like. I can only presume, therefore, that they're going from the S-Mart ending, which is also disappointing, because if there was going to be a continuation of Army of Darkness, in other words, a movie, Army of Darkness 2, I wanted it to be in the future with, like, part cyborg zombies or something that's a bit more interesting, or maybe Mad Maxian type things or whatever, in like a rundown London or rundown England or whatever, which I know is like a huge budgeted thing, but come on.
Yeah, in that apocalyptic future setting, it would be a lot like Army of Darkness in tone. You know, medieval style fortress battles and such.
Right.
It could be very much in the same spirit, but also I thought the S-Mart still that ending had a lot of that comedic spirit too, and he was very cocky at the end of that. And,
I know that the comic books and everything, every other Army of Darkness thing that's followed, because the S-Mart ending was the theatrical ending in the US, which is obviously the biggest market. I always felt that they would probably go with that ending, you know, to continue it. All I mean by it being disappointing is that that's the ending that's in the real world. It would have been nice, if you're going to do an Army of Darkness 2 or a continuation, to have done something in the future. You've got two movies that are in the present. You've got one movie that's in the past. It would have been nice to have done one movie in the future, that's all. Whereas here, I presume what they're doing is old man Ash has had to fight zombies a bit more at some point, and is now tired and weary and has PTSD and is all having freakouts and stuff like that. Which the other warning bell that rings very heavily is that while doing Burn Notice, Bruce did less and less of his stunts. Because he hasn't worked out forever. He doesn't look after himself physically, particularly, by the looks of him. Certainly not in that character, Sam Axe. And so the inclusion of the two sidekicks makes me think that while Ash will crack wise and probably fire the odd shotgun, you know, that's going to be the extent of the excitement that we get with Bruce. You know what I mean? There's something about Bruce now that is, you know, sad. There's something about Bruce now that is not, you know,
not Evil Dead 2 Bruce.
Well, but it's not even that, because I love Bubba Hotep Bruce. I love Running Time Bruce. I love when he tries to do something a little more serious, something with nuance. I think that he's got proper chops. I think he was developing some really good chops, and you know, while obviously everyone always enjoys the jack of all trades, Army of Darkness shtick, it would have been nice to have seen something a bit more developed and a bit more nuanced. But instead, all he's done is sort of trade on his convention persona, which, quite honestly, I was tired of 5 years ago, let alone now. I mean, he's fucking hosting a game show for WizardCon now. It's like, it's just getting annoying. And whenever he stands up at WizardCon, nobody asks him any decent questions. And even when he gets the odd decent question, he gives them shit answers. It's like, why do you even bother? He's just showing up for a paycheck, except it's at a convention. And while Sam Axe had great potential as a character, and while I did watch every episode of Burn Notice and I watched the Sam Axe movie and stuff, all that really came across while I was watching it was that it's close but no cigar, you know? It's like, he's almost there, but he's just not putting the effort into it, you know what I mean? Because he just could coast on the fact that he wasn't the leading role. So maybe getting back into Ash's shirt and slacks and maybe being the leading role again will maybe stick a fire up his ass. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the light in his eyes for some years.
J. Scott?
I guess we're just going to have to wait for some teaser promos before we can get a half-assed clue as to whether this is going to be the real deal or if it's going to be bullshit.
Yeah. I agree with you, Jay Scott. I'm not commenting on the TV show other than what I've read and basing it entirely on my, in-depth experience of Bruce over the last 5 to 10 years. And the fact that really the last time I saw him genuinely give a shit about a performance, it was Bubba Hotep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't been reading a lot about this. I never watched the remake version, so when I hear there's
Kyle
an
and
evil...
Tim keep wanting me to watch the remake, but I said that the only way I'll watch the remake is if I go to one of their houses. They all show up, me, Kyle and Tim, and Kyle's dog Kamala. We put it on, we get absolutely blitz drunk, and we film it. That's the only way I'll watch it.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But, just, the knowledge being dropped on me, Evil Dead TV series done in the vein of Walking Dead, 10 episodes guaranteed, on Stars, uncut, with Bruce, directed by Sam on the first episode at least. And I've got to confess, I am a little bit excited. This is like the Evil Dead 4 that we've all been waiting for since the late 90s. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, but at the same time, I'm not going to be buying my Evil Dead toys at Walmart prior to the show's premiere.
No. And there's already plenty Evil Dead toys at Walmart already off the back of the movies. They seem to release an Evil Dead 2 toy every 6 months. Yeah, I remain skeptical, but like I say, I'll wait and see. Yeah, the only sad thing is, of course, the remake gets a movie and the Army of Darkness 2 gets, or the sequel or whatever it is they're calling it now, gets a TV show. Now, of course, it means we get more hours because 10 episodes a half hour, that's still a 5 hour, that's still a 5 hour run of Evil Dead, which I think the fact that we're getting more Evil Dead is good. We'll just wait and see what we're actually getting, I think.
Right.
See, I always wanted Sam, Bruce, and Rob to do more movies, but not Evil Dead movies. I wanted Evil Dead to finish with Army of Darkness. I never wanted an Evil Dead 4. I've never been on that bandwagon at all. I only wanted more Bruce starring, Rob producing, and Sam directing. I only ever wanted more of those, but with new stories. And I think the other thing that's such a shame is that, they're going back to that well rather than thinking up anything new. But then Raimi hasn't had a new idea in God knows how long, so.
Right. Yeah, for love of the game wasn't exactly a life changer for me.
No, the last Raimi movie I truly, truly loved all the way through was probably Quick and the Dead.
I completely disliked that film.
Okay.
And I'd have to say my favorite would probably be The Gift.
Yeah, I like The Gift.
The Gift wasn't bad. But when I mean Quick and the Dead, I mean for his direction. It's the last Raimi movie.
It's the last Raimi-esque movie.
Yeah, The Gift could have been directed by anybody.
That's true. Okay.
And Simple Plan could have been directed by the Coen brothers. And For the Love of the Game, a TV director. And
Kevin Costner probably directed that.
Right, Kevin Costner. And, I liked The Gift. I mean, you have, of course, everyone goes on about Drag Me to Hell, but I
wasn't such a big fan of that.
Have you tried rewatching that, guys?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I've rewatched it like 2 or 3 times, and it doesn't get any better, unfortunately. I just, like I say, the only thing I ever wanted Raimi to do was make more movies with Bruce in the lead. He couldn't do it in his early career because studios kept saying no. But once he got some clout behind him, the fact that he didn't then turn around and put Bruce in a lead just always bothered me.
So,
Are we
what are
ready
we talking about tonight, fellas?
Are we ready to go on to the movies?
Why
Yay.
Okay, cool. So tonight's villainous lineup, the East End evils, the Cockney crime lords that we have assembled here this evening in, as I say, a big old crusty corner pub in some dark, dusty alleyway in East London, is none other than 1971's Villain, starring Richard Burton, and 2000s or 2001, depending on where you were when it came out, Sexy Beast. So it's a crime film from the very early wave of British crime films that kind of take in stuff like Get Carter and then end with stuff like Long Good Friday and Mona Lisa in the 80s, early 80s. And then one from the later wave of crime films, which started with Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which was very much a sort of straight rip-off of the 70s, early 80s British crime films, and sort of goes up to like sort of Sexy Beast and onwards. And there was Layer Cake and a couple of other Richie movies that came out. Snatch and stuff like that. And, and Statham's done the odd one. He went back to England to do Blitz, and he did one recently, Redemption Hummingbird, which was really good, which was sort of a underworld in London kind of movie that harked back to Mona Lisa, which I liked a lot. It's Sir Jason Statham in Hummingbird, which is always fun. But yes, we're going to start, first of all, with 1971's Villain, which Axl and myself were able to partake in this week.
Victor Dakin, I must caution you.
All right, that'll do.
Do you know what he does for a Sunday, Tom? If it's fine, he takes his mum down to Brighton, walks around the seafront, up to the pier, buys a plate of whelks, then drives home at 30 miles an hour so she doesn't get hiccups.
Well, he can't be all bad then, can he? Pathetic. That's what you are. Pathetic. Bring the bucket. Enjoy yourself. Respect, you don't know what it is. Unless you're Vic Dakin, tell him, somebody, tell him.
Richard Burton plays Vic Dakin, who's based very loosely on real-life gangster Ronnie Kray of the Kray twins. And you'll know that the two guys from Spandau Ballet, played the Krays in the 90s?
In the film The Krays?
Yeah, the film The Krays. I think that there's two guys. It's Martin and something Kemp or something. They're actual brothers in real life, and they were in Spandau Ballet. But,
wow.
Yes.
I did not know that, and I've seen The Krays.
And the Krays were... Because just like you had the mafia in America, in the East End of London, you have these sort of underworld types who basically ran protection rackets, where they would go around local stores and demand, some bills for so-called keeping it safe, but really all you were doing was stopping them, smashing the place up. And there's actually a scene in this movie where they go to the car showroom and actually destroy like thousands of dollars worth of cars because they didn't pay. They didn't pay up. You got to pay up. So he's playing Vic Dakin, who is a mother-obsessed homosexual. Who's not open about his homosexuality, but who does have a frequent love interest in Lovejoy's very own Ian McShane, or if you're American Deadwood's very own Ian McShane. And basically, the whole movie is set up around they are brought a job at the beginning of the movie where they're going to knock off the payroll of these people at a factory. And it's a job that's on another gang's turf. And they go into cahoots with this gang in order to pull off the job, and they make a spectacular botch of the whole thing. Meanwhile, the police headed up by Nigel Davenport, who's a sort of British character actor who's showed up in lots of these movies. He is on the trail, and there are some people who are informing the cops who are on Vic Dakin's team. And in the mad scrabble for him to try and find the money, when one of the rival gang goes into hospital for an ulcer, the tables are turned on him, basically. And that's the whole thing. Like, it's not a particularly complicated thing. It's just about a heist gone wrong, more or less. And you get Richard Burton, Ian McShane, Nigel Davenport, Donald Sinden, who plays Gerald Draycott, who's the older MP guy, who they're kind of blackmailing to try and get them out of trouble. And a very young Joss Ackland, who people will know from Lethal Weapon 2, Diplomatic Immunity, from Lethal Weapon 2. Yeah. So, that's the whole plot, right, Axl? There was nothing more to it?
Yeah, and I thought the most intriguing part of this film was just how sadistic Richard Burton's character was, because I basically know him from Cleopatra and hardly shit else. And
dude, I need to give you some titles then, because you need to see Look Back in Anger, which was based on a John Osborne play, and you need to see Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which he did with Elizabeth Taylor when they were married. And also, of course, Wild Geese. And what's the one Where Eagles Dare, the awesome war movie with Clint Eastwood. They're your 4 quintessential Burtons, I would say.
Okay. But I was shocked by his behavior in this film, and his relationship with Ian McShane. And the other shocker was when I looked up Ian McShane and found out that he was that Grecian-looking dude that I've been seeing in movies for the last decade or so. And I'm like, well played, dude. He's completely transformed into a different guy.
Well, Ian McShane is the guy who is also in Sexy Beast.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the actor that ties these two movies together.
I just saw him. He was in John Wick recently. I mean, I'm seeing that guy all over the place, and I did not recognize him off of this movie until I hit his IMDb. So, well,
he was very popular in England for a series called Lovejoy, which was a kind of fairly twee, comical Sunday hour-long show type thing, where he was sort of a roguish art trader who traveled around in a panel van with some funny chaps trying to like swindle old ladies out of their paintings, or like help old ladies with their paintings. I don't know. It was pretty awful. He did nothing for ages, and then he showed up in Deadwood, of course. And from off the back of Deadwood, which is a hugely popular TV series, he got all these film roles. So that's how that happened.
I wanted to mention the plot line itself is just so stark and dank and awful. It's just like, Ian McShane, he's like, well, yeah, he basically pimps out his girlfriends to get favors or whatnot, and is suffering an abusive unwanted homosexual relationship.
Yeah.
And it's just not your typical plot line for kind of a hard-boiled mafia kind of thing. So I think
Jay Scott's like, oh my.
Those two elements alone, it's just like, I mean, it's definitely gonna keep this one fresh in the memory of what was otherwise just kind of your standard mean streets kind of early 70s thing. But
it doesn't have the style or the script of something like a Long Good Friday or a Mona Lisa, or even a Get Carter, which is a real shame, because it with someone like Burton chewing the scenery, you really could have done him spitting out some better lines than they gave him here. But it does share Get Carter's cold, stark meanness. It doesn't let up. There's no real comedy in the movie. There's no real sort of fun to be had with it. It's a serious movie. Ian McShane, like you say, he's a bit of a ladies' man, But when he's done with them, he pimps them out to this, and this is another link with Sexy Beast. There is a government minister who has, salacious and saucy parties round at his country estate every weekend. And Ian McShane is pimping the women out to him, and then they are blackmailing him with photographs from those parties, essentially, or knowledge of those parties, so that they can get help in the corridors of power, as it were, so that the police don't come too hard down on them. So it's all sort of seedy, it's all sort of dark and grim, and Burton doesn't suffer anyone, let alone fools, but just doesn't suffer anyone. And there is a big implication that his meanness comes from his utter repression of who he actually is,
Well, and also, this is a film made by British people for British people. It's not Americanized whatsoever. I mean, it's head to toe a British film.
Yes.
So it's not like we're sitting down and watching Straw Dogs with Dustin Hoffman at least.
No,
it's it's full of the lingo. Like what officially is a punter?
A punter is just a customer.
Okay.
Or also another word used as a clubber, someone that goes to clubs, a punter.
Right. I mean, it's more sort of a customer in a pub. You have a punter. All right, is the punt? My regular punter's in or whatever. But
well, Burton calls the one girl a slag.
Yeah, slag. Yeah, that's like a slut or a whore or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but okay. More as they come up.
Sure, of course. I think.
But no.
Sorry, go ahead, dude.
I enjoyed it, though. It's definitely a little different slice of cinema I'm not used to. Not the best presentation. Was this perhaps a public domain?
No, this is actually a VHS rip, I think. There is a DVD of it in the US, but it is through Warner Archive, so it would have to be specifically purchased through them. They do release it over here.
It kind of had that albino wheat sheen to the color palette.
Yeah, I don't imagine it's been cleaned up that much either. It's a very rare British crime film. It never got the attention or the staying power of something like a Get Carter, which is really the sort of daddy of all these movies. And have you seen the original Michael Caine, Get Carter?
No, at least a year ago we hadn't, because we discussed this on another episode.
Because I know what's amazing about Get Carter is I know that it was remade over here.
Sylvester Stallone
and Mickey Rourke did it, and it was awful, unfortunately. But the funny thing about it is that it was a movie that was remade, but then the original wasn't well known over here. Like, I thought it was remade because the original was as well known here as it is in the UK, where in the UK everyone knows the movie Get Carter. You know what I mean? It's like everyone in America knows Mean Streets. It's like that big a movie. It's that important a movie, and so, or Taxi Driver or whatever, it's that kind of quintessential, tentpole type movie, and over here it just isn't, it seems, which is very, very odd. But that is far more stylistic, far more well made, has a far better kind of kick-ass soundtrack. This one is far more. This one's just an odd one. It's written by two guys who would go on to become very well known for writing comedies, weirdly enough. They wrote Porridge, which was a very popular TV series in the UK. They wrote Lovejoy, which we've already talked about. They talked about they wrote Wiedersehen Pet, which is another popular comedy in the UK. Most recently, they wrote the movie The Bank Job, starring Jason Statham. So they've worked in movies and TV a lot. It's Dick Clement. Is the one writer, and the other writer is Ian LaFrenaze. And they've written a ton of stuff. The sad thing about this one was I thought the weak area of this one was the script. I thought the acting was fine, and I thought it was, pedestrianly directed, but it was okay. You knew what was going on. But I thought the really weak side was the script. Don't you think, Axl?
Hard to say. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't understanding everything that was being said. I mean, it wasn't a terribly strong anything, really. It was just solid from top to bottom and interesting just because of the main two male characters and just the kind of bizarre circumstances got me through the running time.
Yeah.
And it was, almost had kind of not quite, didn't really have like a Dirty Harry feel to it, but it was that same kind of seedy atmosphere. It was about the same time, if the London version of Dirty Harry, but from the bad side.
Right.
He was the mafia Dirty Harry of London.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because in all other British movies, or a lot of other British movies that I've seen, which are about crime, the criminals in question are the charming ones that you're watching the movie for. It's Bob Hoskins, gang lord, having a hard time of it in Long Good Friday. It's Michael Caine as Carter going back to avenge the death of his brother.
Rutger Hauer going to England and assembling a new crew for Nighthawks.
Right, okay, fair enough. That's a very weird reference, but okay. No, I agree. There's obviously in both Snatch and Lock, Stock, you're hanging with the lovable Cockney chappies rather than the police. You're on the side of the criminals. Layer Cake, Gangster #1, all those, it's all seen from the side of the gangster thing. The weird thing here is that no one is sympathetic. You know what I mean? Because you don't follow the police side of it, you can't really get into their heads. I mean, you sympathize when they're not able to arrest him at one point and they really want to. You kind of sympathize, but there's no one you really root for in the movie. You know what I mean? I wanted to root for Burton, but he's such a swine that there's nothing redemptive about him at all, apart from the fact that he's nice to his mother, and I don't know how much I care about that. And so, I mean, Ian McShane maybe, but I mean, again, it's very, very difficult to really kind of latch on to anyone in this movie. And like I say, we're used to gangster films being fun because we can live vicariously through these either over the top and or lovable, cheeky rogue types. And this is one movie that doesn't have that.
And I regret not seeing this now, and I plan on seeing it in the very, very near future. But from what you've just described, it reminds me terribly of the Michael Mann film Heat, where you've got De Niro and his posse as robbers, but they never hurt anybody. They just steal the money.
Right.
You got Pacino chasing after them, but he's not hurting anybody. And the real criminal is the Waingro character that the robbers hire, who ends up being a prostitute killer that Al Pacino is also trying to solve the murder of.
Right.
So it's like, are the robbers the good guys? Are the cops the bad guys? And,
well, yeah, I mean, in Heat, it's more that De Niro is this guy who wants to go straight, who's in love with his woman, and everything, apart from the fact that he's a crook, everything is going well for him. And he wants to get away from the life. And then you have Pacino, who in the original draft was a cocaine fiend with an ex-wife who's fucking this other guy and has stolen his television in the best scene in the movie.
Yes.
You can fuck my wife, but you don't watch my television. I absolutely love that scene. And then you have, like you say, the Waingro thing. So it's kind of bad cop versus good criminal. Whereas in this movie, the cop is undoubtedly good, but he's a civil servant. He's a dog's body. He's just doing his thing. He's just a job's worth. He's just, there's nothing charismatic about him. He's not a Dirty Harry type. And then the criminal is a real vicious, mean son of a bitch, So there's just no one in the movie where you're like, go you, they're all a bit they're all a bit arseholes.
Gotcha.
Which just makes it a bit of a cold watch, I think.
I'd like to see a better version of this, though. Maybe one day, if it's, I'm not going to go out of my way for it, but I'd be interested to look at a nicer 16:9, cleaned up version.
I mean, the Warner Archive discs are good. They're just pricey, you know what I mean? And they're pricey because they burn them specific. So,
yeah.
But I love that they exist, because if there's a movie that they, like Freebie and the Bean, for example, which I couldn't get hold of until Warner Archive put it out, and then I'll throw down the clams for Freebie and the Bean because, it's such a great movie, but it was lost in time. It was you couldn't find it anywhere. So, it depends what kind of film it is. I probably wouldn't, unless they had a sale, pick Villain up from the Warner Archive. I just wouldn't have interest in necessarily rewatching it. It just doesn't have the style, and it doesn't have the character for me to latch onto that I need to watch kind of gritty crime stuff. And I've also seen Burton be so much better. I mean, if you want him spitting out dialogue, you watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf or Look Back in Anger. And if you want him being kind of a roguish sort of slight action hero type thing, you've got him in Where Eagles Dare and Wild Geese. In this, he's just a thug. He's just a miserable, repressed, ugly thug. And he does it very well, but they don't give him enough lines to spit out. If he was more like Ben Kingsley in Sexy Beast and had some proper, funny but offensive, mean lines to say, it would have been more of a joy to watch Burton kind of chew the scenery, So just to wrap up Villain then, a couple of things. A sex scene between Richard Burton and Ian McShane was actually cut from the original theatrical release, so it could have got a lot more grim than it did, because I'm not sure I want to see those two guys going at it. It was bad enough.
You know what? I thought they dealt with the subject delicately enough.
Oh yeah, they did.
But that really wasn't the grim part of it. It was that and everything else.
Oh no, of course. No, I'm just saying, had they gone that full hog, it would have been a different movie. I found out that in 1974, the CBS station screened a TV version of this. I can only imagine what was cut out of the film. Apparently, the critical and financial failure of this film ended Richard Burton's viability as a box office star, apparently. And apparently where it was filmed, at the Assembly House pub in Kentish Town, which is sort of North London, apparently Elizabeth Taylor, they were married at the time, pulled pints for the cast and crew, apparently. According to trivia on IMDb.
Hell of a lady.
Hell of a lady, our Liz.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Axl...
Was she an honorary Brit like Madonna?
Was Elizabeth Taylor? No, she's born in England.
Is she?
Yeah, she was born in Hampstead.
Okay.
She is English.
Okay.
She was born in Hampstead in London.
It's in her blood.
Yeah. I know she did a lot of American movies, but no, she's English as the day is long. And just lastly then, Axl, so any scenes stand out for you? Any performances, any moments that you really enjoyed or thought were well done?
Other than the main two, I thought the cop gave it a pretty good go, and I thought, basically the best scenes were when Burton was doing what he was doing. Like the opening scene when he was when they were torturing the guy, and then the end scene where he has his speech. Those would probably be the key moments.
I liked the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. I really enjoyed the way it ended, and I liked where it was set as well, those kind of disused warehouse kind of buildings out in the Docklands type area. I really liked that as well. I thought it was fun. And they're kidnapping him from the hospital and all that malarkey. I thought the movie could have had that kind of pace throughout, Mm-hmm. That would have been a more enjoyable, exciting movie.
But it had a decent amount of pleasant nudity, and
oh yeah, you've got the belly dancer in the hookah bar, right? the hookah bar, rather.
And Ian's old lady early on in the film offers up a nice couple of delights. But I mean, overall, like I was probably made it through the running time, like I said, on Burton, but just also on the Britishness of this film. You know, like it was just so honest and honestly British and unintended for the United States. Just made it interesting.
J. Scott, did you have any questions on Villain or anything else that you wanted to ask before we move on?
I think you guys have filled me in on quite a bit and raised quite a few more questions.
Good.
So I'm going to be looking forward to concocting a way to be able to view the film that was provided to me by Upper 11th.
You have two versions now, so
that I could not view tonight, either version. So,
right, yeah, that sucks. Sorry about that.
No, it's nothing to be sorry about. I just need to get my ish together and make it happen, and I will shortly and report back.
Nice. And I would suggest, I don't know whether you guys have jumped on the Statham train yet, but definitely Bank Job and, as it was released over here, Redemption, which are the two movies he's done in London, in amongst his stint of being with the Expendables, etc. They're definitely worth it. Bank Job was written by these guys, Dick Clement and Ian LaFrenne. So, definitely check that out. That's a good crime caper with Jason Statham. And Redemption is really good. I thought Redemption's really, really good. He plays a military guy, AWOL from Iraq, and who's hiding out homeless on the streets of London, and who avenges the death of one of his friends when he has this summer where he's able to hang out at this guy's apartment and like take his identity for a while. It's really good, actually. It's really, really good. And that was done by the guy who did Dirty Pretty Things and wrote Eastern Promises, the Cronenberg movie. Familiar with the individual, don't know his name off the top of my head. He just made Locke as well with Tom Hardy. All right, so let's go over to Sexy Beast with Ray Winstone and Sir Ben Kingsley. We'll play the trailer now.
One man's castle. One man's woman. One man's heaven is another man's reason to raise hell. Meet Don Logan.
Cigarette. What? This? No, I'm not going to put it out.
Are you definitely retired?
Yeah, I'm retired. Why?
You're needed in London this Friday.
It's a bit sudden, isn't it?
It's not sudden. Preparation.
Just say my name for me.
When I think of all the birds you could have had, you had to pick her. Dirty Dee.
I love her with all my heart.
You're the problem, you Dr. White, onkin' jamrag, onkin' spunk bubba. Your middle name ungrateful or what? Ain't you got nothing to say? Just gonna stand there like Porky Pig, hiding behind your wife's skirt, your ex-porn star's wife's skirt.
I'm happy.
I'm gonna let you be happy, what should I?
Do what Don wants.
Who's behind this?
Teddy Best.
Mr. Black Magic himself.
He'll hurt you.
Do what Don says.
Are you saying no?
No.
What are you saying?
I'm just going to have to turn this opportunity down.
No, you're just going to have to turn this opportunity yes.
Because Don...
Do the job.
No, Don.
Yes.
No. Doesn't. I can't.
You can.
I can't.
You can't.
Do it. And I said no. No.
Yes!
I know you love me because I feel strong. Ray Winstone. Ben Kingsley. crooked stone. Ian McShane. Sexy beast.
Fuck off, I'm beautiful.
There's a bit of the beast in everyone.
And then who wants to take the synopsis for Sexy Beast?
I'd rather one of you two did, because this was my first viewing of it.
All right. Is it your first viewing, Axl?
It is, but I can give a better go of this one.
Cool. All right. You knock it out of the park, this one, Axl. All ears are hanging on your every word.
Should I start now?
Start now, sir. Start when you hear this noise.
All right.
Wait for it.
Fucking cunt.
Now.
I have a gentleman by the name of Gal who has done a 9-year bid in the Slam for not telling on his criminal buddies. And he is now retired on the coast of Spain somewhere with his moderately good-looking woman by his side. Enter Ben Kingsley. What was his character's name? Help me out.
Don Logan.
Don Logan. He's come down to Spain on behalf of Teddy Bass.
Yeah.
Played by Ian McShane. The now Grecian Ian McShane. He looks like a Greek god with that hair.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
He's created a whole new cinematic, persona for himself.
You'd think his last name was Stavrakis.
But it's not. It's McShane.
But Kingsley shows up and is trying to talk Gal into doing a job back in the UK, robbing a safe, and he doesn't want to do it. And Kingsley is mean and verbally abusive, and at times physically abusive, and
won't take no for an answer.
Yeah, things tighten up, and I don't know about you guys. Well, I'm not familiar with Ben Kingsley in this manner.
No, he's never done another movie like this. This is the only time he's really played a hard nut like this.
Yeah. But I mean,
I
the
know
language
Gandhi
and everything
Ben
too.
Kingsley.
Just the I don't know. Is this a Cockney style that he's using? I'm not sure. But
yeah, this is all East End London Cockney gangsters. Yeah, that's the big area of London where criminals came from. Where it's all about it's exactly, think of it like the mafia. You know what I mean? So you've got to respect each other's mothers. Like nobody pisses off the mothers. Like the same with the mafia, right? And then you start from a kid, stealing lunch money off the weaker kids. And then you get to the point where you grow up and everyone's your pal and you live on the street and everyone knows everybody else. And, you're knocking over shops, especially shops that are run by, at a certain point in London where a lot of Indians came in and stuff like that. You're taking protection money from the Indians or the Pakistanis or whatever it is like that. And you're just generally being mean, gruff bastards, basically, and occasionally pull in like a bank job or a robbery or a car theft or something like that. You'd always have other jobs on the side, but your main thing would be protection racket and stuff like that.
But Kingsley's just letting it fly though with the language.
Yeah.
And at times I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding him.
Really?
But
okay.
In a good way though. It's
Look at your fucking suntan, like leather. Like a leather man, your skin. You can make a fucking suitcase out of you, old all. You look like a crocodile, fat bastard. You look like fucking Idi Amin, you know what I mean? Stay here. Should be ashamed of yourself.
But I mean, he's intense as fuck, and he's letting it fly, man. I mean, this is a performance to behold.
Yeah. Well, this has got that sort of similar patter that Withnell and I has in a different way, but it's similar in terms of it being very verbal and very sweary and funny in a way. I mean, he is threatening as fuck, but it's what I was missing from Villain. It's a joy to watch. He might be threatening, but you are hanging on his every word, even if you don't understand it.
And you can totally identify with Gal. I mean,
right.
That's how I'd be acting more than likely.
Yeah, I would want no part of Ben Kingsley's scheme whatsoever. And to go along with what you guys just said, the first 45 minutes, I had the hardest time trying to understand this marble mouth Cockney going on.
Right.
Regardless of how loud I had my center channel speaker turned up on my surround sound. But
maybe I should have got you guys ones with subtitles.
yeah. But
no, I recorded it in HD off of one of the Encore or some channel that I get.
Right.
Oh wow, cool.
GHD something.
Oh, nice. So I basically I just had to catch as catch can, and whenever when Kingsley shows up, I mean, of course, it's obvious what's going on.
Right. Well, there's a couple of movies like this, and obviously something. Although it's a different accent, something like Trainspotting has this kind of quick fire, sweary, very verbal kind of British dialogue as well, of course, and that was famously subtitled in this country in the US.
Actually, I don't know. I have the Trainspotting Criterion Laserdisc Special Edition.
Right.
And it comes with a special insert that has a Cockney to proper
you mean
diction,
Scottish
English translation.
Right. I mean, that's Scottish slang in that one, not
the
Cockney.
Scottish
Right,
to English translation, yes.
Yeah, that's hilarious that it has that. But again, there are a few films when Brits write a good movie, as far as other Brit viewers are concerned, as far as the Brit audience is concerned, it's stuff like this. It's that quick fire, throwing a bunch of swear
almost
words.
Tarantino-like.
Yeah, but I mean, it comes from, like I say, it dates back to sort of before Tarantino to some extent.
Oh yeah,
but it's just that very
rapid
verbal,
fire.
Very well done. It's because, it's in a weird way, it is connected with sort of Shakespeare in the terms, in the fact that he is saying the same thing 5 times over, but in a poetical way, so that everyone kind of, you have to deliver it kind of quite quickly in order for it to sound like dialogue. And the same can be said for this. It has its own rhythm and poetry to it. The dialogue, you know what I mean? Even though it's it's full of slang words, and it's laced with crazy metaphors and examples and things like that, and it's not how people regularly speak. It is incredible. To me, the thing I love about Sexy Beast is listening to that, just those rich kind of big whole paragraphs that Kingsley delivers, while also getting a huge kick out of how withdrawn and subdued Winstone is playing it, because Winstone is known as like larger than life, shouty hood guy, right? He's always playing that kind of criminal, and in this he plays the sensitive, romantic, please leave me alone, over the hill, I've done my time kind of guy, and he does it so well. I mean, the whole bit where they first come to the restaurant and tell him that Don has called up, and he's still talking about the calamari, and he's trying to, you can see that it's going on in his head. Fuck, Don's coming, fuck. You can see it in his head, but he's still like, I'm going to have the calamari. Like, he's trying to make up for it. I love that. He plays it so well. So the other part of the movie that we're not mentioning is that while he is coming to Gal to try and get him to do this job, the subtext of why Kingsley's character is there is actually because he had slept with and wants a bit more of Julianne White, who's playing a character called Jackie. And she is the wife of H, who is another criminal colleague of Ray Winstone's, who's moved to Spain with them. And the 4 of them are kind of old pals who hang out together all the time, go to the local taverna and swim in Gal's pool and all this stuff,
Hey, I have a question. There, at one point, Kingsley started antagonizing Winstone.
Oh, Winstone. Okay.
When he was saying something about his wife, everybody goes down to have the Wednesday wank while they while they watch her or something. Did she used to be like a porn star or something?
Yeah, she used to do porn back in the day.
Mentions made of it.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, her name is Dee Dee Dove, and the character's name. And if you go back to the early 80s, which is when Mona Lisa was set, there was a lot of porn was a big currency in the underground of Soho and the sort of back alleys of central London, with a lot of video shops cropping up and a lot of peep shows cropping up and that kind of thing. And so much like 42nd Street kind of deal, And she must have done some old 16mm grainy, big bush, late 70s, early 80s, slightly beige-looking pornography. And apparently Don Logan is saying that every Wednesday a group of aficionados from back in the day get together and have a J. Arthur rank, as they call it, or a wank, to old Dee Dee. And apparently she still packs the cinema,
Back to back, maybe, but not side to side. Sorry.
And it's, and that's why, what is interesting about the casting of Amanda Redman is that she does have that look of a slightly over the hill. Like Axl said, she's slightly attractive. Like that, she's slightly over the hill playmate type. You know what I mean? Like you can imagine 20 years previously her being something, and she's got they've got a good look to her. You know what I mean? She looks the part, I think.
But now she's got the bags under the eyes and the sagging, the jaw's starting to shrink a little.
But I mean, Gal still loves her very much. She's his. She's Gal's gal, if you know what I mean.
Exactly, and part of the reason why he doesn't want to re-enter that part of his previous life.
And it's what's nice is that while Ben Kingsley's character brings this horrible, 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 yet watchable and funny violence and meanness with him, belligerence is the best word. It's undercut by Gal and Dee Dee's very genuine romance and love affair, as a very in love married couple. Are there any favorite scenes you guys had? Axl, any favorite scenes?
Well, I'd say the one particular rant where I think it's the next morning after he's come back from being kicked off the plane. The one where they're in the kitchen and he's really just laying into him, like fucking damn near headbutting him as he's, just laying into him there in the kitchen. That would probably be my favorite.
Problem? Fucking problem? No, mate, no. No fucking problem with the plane, cunt. Fucking plane was fine. Fucking plane was all right. Fucking plane was perfect. It's you. You're the problem. You're the fucking problem. You fucking Dr. White, onkin jam rag, arkin spunk bubble. I'm telling you, H. You keep looking at me, I'm going to put you in the fucking ground. I promise you. Not this time, girl. Not this time. Not this fucking time. No! No, 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 no!
A honkin' jam rag fucking spunk bubble. Which is just the greatest series of things. He goes, you're the problem.
I'm going to start using
You're the fucking problem. You fucking Dr. White, honkin' jam rag fucking spunk bubble. I love that.
I need to say that to my boss at work. I think she'd appreciate it.
And when he says what he says to Gal, when he says, shut up, cunt, you louse. You got some fucking neck, ain't you? Retired, fuck off, you're revolting. Look at your suntan, it's leather. It's like leather, man, your skin. We can make a fucking suitcase out of you like a crocodile, fat bastard. I love all that stuff, like the way he just rattles it off is incredible. When he was at the airport and he's explaining to the guy who pulled him off the thing that another guy tried to grab his ass.
It's very serious, Mr. Logan.
You're right, sir. It's very serious. I've been here for 5 hours.
As you may know, all European
But before you start, I want to say something. Let me ask you something, please. Have you ever been sexually assaulted? No, neither have I. Until today, on that plane. What? Yeah, that's what I said. Here's me, put my bag up in the cupboard. Next thing you know, I feel hands on me. Someone's touched me. Touched my front bottom. I can't believe it, I've gone all cold. I look round. He's standing there, isn't he? That steward with the guilty look on his face. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. I'd sit down, I wasn't that perturbed. And then his mate, the other one, who's giving us all lessons on what we do if we land in the sea, how to work your life jacket, etc., he starts looking at me, all funny, suggestive. Now, I don't know whether they wanted me for a twos-up or something. I don't know how they work it. But I tell you what, it scared me. I was shaking like a leaf. So, without thinking, I lit up a cigarette to calm my nerves. I was trembling. I was very emotional. And that's when all the rest of it happened. It's very regrettable. Now, I don't want to kick up a fuss. Right? Press charges. Contact the British Embassy. I'd rather not pursue those channels. Not my style. Not that sort of a bloke. I wouldn't want to lose the man his job. Man's got to eat. And I'm sure he's not representative of all you Spanish people. But I would appreciate it if you have a word with him. Let him know he's been rumbled. It's the one with the ginger hair.
I love all that stuff.
All with that same just even keeled face, just never wavering in emotion.
And when we do see kind of Don in his private time, we do find out he's got an inner voice that sometimes like talks to him in the mirror, where he's kind of saying like, oh, you said too much there, Don, and you shouldn't have given the game away, and what the fuck did you do that for? And, you know, he kind of has to talk himself up into these frenzies. You kind of feel like he's a bit, well, he is clearly fucking damaged, you know?
He gets worked up like a wrestler before his match or something. Oh, fucking Travis Bickle in the mirror and shit.
But it was watching it this time that I remembered, or I realized that really his whole purpose in actually going to Spain is actually to try and get Jackie. That's actually what he's there to do. He's trying to... There's something weird about Don where, like, he actually feels something. When he says to Gal, like, it's funny, you know, I think I actually felt something for Jackie, he admits in the nightclub. I think he genuinely does. And I think all his anger and his frustration and his repression comes from the fact that he shows up at this place and they're all just happy families, you know, and the fact that he slept with her has had no repercussions and everyone's fine, you know. And so he wants to get in there, he wants to fuck things up, he wants to mess things up in order to just, you know, throw a cat amongst the pigeons, because fuck them, how dare they be happy when he can't, you know? It feels like this guy's just been deprived of anything resembling softness or love or attention or anything like that. That's what the movie's trying. It's just nice that the movie has that depth there, rather than it just being about him being a shouty wanker.
Now, do we want to spoil the end of this at all?
We don't have to. I mean, unless there's a particular sequence or scene that you want to talk about, I don't think we want to necessarily spoil the twist or spoil the incident that happens. 60 minutes?
I'd rather not speak about it. I'd rather just say in summation that I would heartily recommend this movie, especially for people who enjoy British films, like you talk of Get Carter and all these classic British films, Long Good Friday, Mona Lisa, A Room with a View, you know, just these classic British films that I would say 95% of Americans could give a shit less about.
Right.
And I think that's a shame, because as far as the United States, you know, is concerned, we're the only country in the goddamn world that make film.
Right.
So seeing movies like this really captures my attention span, and you know, I want to soak up every nuance. I want to know every bit of British Cockney slang and behaviors and I don't know. There's just something very. I have a huge curiosity about British film, as well as British television. I mean, I'm sure all of us have talked about Spaced, or The Young Ones, or Monty Python, or Faulty Towers, or what's the one with the adult that's still breastfeeding? Little Britain. But I like this film, and I definitely need to go back and try to absorb more of the British slang Cockney dialogue going on in the first 30, 45 minutes. And Ian McShane, is he the one that's released? Is he the one that's plotting the crime?
Yeah, he plots the crime because he goes to an orgy where he meets James Fox's character, and James Fox he runs the bank, doesn't he? He runs this big hard to penetrate bank, doesn't he? So he's like in high finance, and he's at this orgy, another one of these so-called underground orgies that goes on between the higher echelons of British society. Apparently that's a common thing and has been for years. And they meet there, and then he's telling him about his bank. He shows up, he puts the cigarette box in his safety deposit box, and it's when he's walking out that he sees that there's a public baths a few doors down, right?
And that's when he bumps into Ben Kingsley.
Right. So any scenes that jump out for you, Axl, that you enjoyed, or anything that you had to say about the movie?
Well, what I can say is when the movie ended, I expected there to be like another at least hour to this film. So, I mean, with that said, it did kind of fly by, and I was highly entertained by it. But it seemed like there was going to be a lot more to it. It just didn't. Just going into it, it didn't strike me as a movie that was going to 90% take place at that house in Spain. But I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It just completely flew by. But I was expecting more of the 2 hour and 45-minute talk piece, and I got like a hour and 26-minute, neatly wrapped up package. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. And like I needed a translator, a couple different, there's a couple sections that I just it's like
you just got to catch as catch can.
Yeah, exactly.
Were there any more phrases, Axl, that you needed me to translate, or any more questions you had about the dialogue?
I was hoping some more would come to me as we talked about it.
Did you prefer this over Villain?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, night and day. This is an exceptional movie that I could recommend a certain type of person. I could recommend it to, and it's memorable. It's worth seeing. It's a great flick.
I'm looking forward to rewatching it again myself, and I'll just say the ending. While you thought there was going to be another hour, I think within the last 10 minutes of that film, I think the ending is kind of foreboding, in my opinion. So
you like the ending the way it was?
Yes. But regardless, I thought it was a very well-done film, and definite rewatchability factor going with this. So I will be checking this out again sometime soon, along with Villain, which I wasn't able to watch tonight with you fellas, regrettably.
Well, yeah, it's... sorry, go ahead.
What does he say? What does he say at the end of Villain with the freeze frame? Oh, he says, "What are you looking at?" I thought it was going to be something better than that.
Yeah, because they're all surrounding him, and he goes, "What are you looking at? What are you looking at?" Oh, no, who are you looking at? That's what he says. Who are you looking at? Richard Burton.
Terrible haircut, by the way. Kind of like a mullet gone wrong kind of thing.
Oof.
But no, I mean, yes, it's. Who are you looking at? Sorry, I can't. I can now not stop saying that. That and you fucking Dr. White honking jam rag fucking spunk bubble. It makes me fucking laugh.
Got that one down.
I think that's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That's going to be the name of my next pet.
Yeah, fucking spunk bubble. Oh, that's hilarious. I call your next two pets fucking spunk bubble and front bottom. That's what you should do. What?
Sounds good.
I happen to love Sexy Beast. I think that the fact that Jonathan Glazer has not followed it up with anything particularly of any note is kind of annoying. Jonathan Glazer would go on to do Under the Skin, which was controversial lately for having a completely nude Scarlett Johansson in it, but not in a sexual way. Just in she was an alien examining her own skin. But have you guys heard of that movie, Under the Skin?
No, but I like nude aliens.
We covered it on the show. It's I mean, it's just boring. I don't know what else to say. It's just boring. I really honestly wouldn't bother. Sexy Beast remains the best thing I think he'll probably ever do. And the script by Louis Mellis and David Skinto. What else have they done? Okay, so they did Gangster Number 1, 44-inch chest, with also with Ray Winstone. Yeah, Gangster Number 1, Sexy Beast, and 44-inch chest. So clearly they just write movies about gangsters by the looks of it.
Ben Kingsley was 57 years old.
Yeah.
When he did this role?
Yes.
You're shitting me.
57.
Wow. I wouldn't have said he was a day over 45 in this role. But
and I looked at his filmography. His second movie ever was Gandhi, and he was like 40.
I was going to ask if this was before or after Gandhi.
Yeah, Gandhi was like 1984, and it was like his second film ever. And his first film ever was like in the early 70s.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And they always get annoyed that he played Gandhi because he's white, but actually his father was from Indian descent. His father is actually Indian. His birth name is Krishna Banji. Ben Kingsley's birth name is Krishna Banji.
And plus, I saw him, and he was in Iron Man 3 a few years ago at like 69 years old, looking spry and playing like a drugged-out degenerate.
Yeah. He's the bad guy he's the fake bad guy in Iron Man 3. If you want to see Ben Kingsley at the height of his powers, I would suggest another movie we've covered on the show before, Without a Clue, which again has Mark Cocaine in it. And it's a comedy about Sherlock Holmes as if Dr. Watson was the genuinely intelligent one, and they hired a drunk actor to play Sherlock Holmes when crowds in London were so taken with the stories that they wanted to meet the real Sherlock Holmes. So he hires this actor played by Michael Caine, who's drunk and belligerent and a skirt chaser. And it's a really, really, really good movie. Very, very funny.
Sounds very interesting.
And, of course, Kingsley cropped up in Schindler's List, Death and the Maiden. He's in Species. I mean, he'll show up in anything by the looks of it.
Sneakers with Robert Redford and River Phoenix and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in that.
What's the Searching for Bobby Fischer?
What? Searching for Bobby Fischer?
Searching for Bobby Fischer.
I don't know what that is. What's that?
The chess movie.
Oh, it is?
Thank you.
Oh, I've not heard of it. Not seen it.
A parent teaches his 4-year-old kid to play chess, and he starts going to Central Park and starts playing Lawrence Fishburne chess.
Oh, okay.
Competitive timed chess. And Ben Kingsley was in the 50s the world champion chess player until he was beat by the Russian computer.
Oh, okay.
And then he disappeared from the face of the planet until this little kid shows up, Bobby Fischer, and then...
Any relation to Max Fischer?
No, unfortunately. But Ben Kingsley shows up and ends up coaching the child.
Fair enough. I've never heard of that movie before, but that's wonderful.
Mid-90s, Joe Mantegna. Not a horrible film. Worth a watch.
Nice. Excellent.
Better than The Mighty Ducks.
Is there anything better than The Mighty Ducks?
Ishtar.
Turk 182, motherfuckers.
There you go.
I quite like Ishtar. So, have we said all we're going to say on these movies?
I do believe so. I appreciate you inviting us on and giving us a slice of some English toffee to take in. Thank you, John.
Take care.
Take care, Axel.
All the best.
Talk to you later.
Bye now. Oh, I believe in miracles. Away from you sexy beast, you sexy beast, you. Oh, I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy beast, you sexy beast, you. Where did you come from, Dee Dee? How did you know that I needed you? How did you know that I needed you so badly? How did you know I'd give my strawberry tart gladly? Yesterday I was one of the lonely peaks, and now you're lying close to me and you're making love to me. Ooh, Mrs. I believe in miracles. Away from you sexy beast, you sexy beast, you. Oh, I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy beast, you sexy beast, you. Where did you come from, Cockney? How did you know that I'd be the one? Did you know you're everything I prayed for? Did you know, oh yeah, every night and day for every day, needing love and satisfaction, and now you're lying next to me and you're giving it to me. Ooh, I believe in miracles. Away from you sexy beast, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy beast, you. Kiss me, you sexy beast. Oh, touch me, baby, you sexy beast, you sexy Cockney beast. I love the way you touch me, darling. Oh, you sexy beast. Oh, it's ecstasy. Oh, you sexy beast. Oh, yesterday I was one of the lonely peeps, but now you're lying close to me, you're giving it to me. Whoa, I believe in miracles. Back in my van. Where you from? You sexy beast, get in my van, babe. I believe in miracles down Putney Way. Since you came along, you sexy thing, you sexy beast, you. Oh yeah, get in the back of my van, darling. Go on, get in amongst the cabbages and the knock-off CDs. Let's roll around a little bit in the old Sony.